It's amazing to be here in Buenos Aires. My first time actually in Argentina. I've been enjoying some mate, some empanadas, some asado. So yeah, it's been amazing. It feels really good to also see many Lunasians, many of the Axie communities here in the audience supporting. So yeah, it feels really special to be here. Today, since this is an Ethereum conference, let's talk about something a little bit more interesting, a little bit more focused on what's next in terms of the roadmap around Axie, right? I think the world is familiar with what happened in 2021, the card game, but let's talk about the future. I think I'm hearing all the time, like, people want to know what's next for Axie. So today we're going to talk about what's next for Axie and how that has to do with dynamic NFTs. But first, a little bit of a trip down memory lane. So yeah, just to introduce myself, I'm Jiho. I'm a co-founder of Sky Mavis. We're the inventors of Axie and the Rona network. So what is Axie? Axie is what happens when you create a game with a mission of delivering property rights, economic freedom to every single user of the internet, starting with gamers. Our thesis is that Web3, it needs to be nostalgic. It needs to be fun and relatable. And games are the best way to do that, right? Like, gamers are familiar with digital currencies. I remember farming WoW Gold, selling items in Diablo, RuneScape party hats. These concepts are very familiar to gamers, and to us, it just makes so much sense. Axie is the #1 NFT project of all time by trading volume. It's even recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records. And Axie was really built with these questions in mind. What if we could build a game that could onboard the world to Web3? What if we could make crypto nostalgic and interesting to everyday people, to muggles, right? Can we use a game to introduce people to the magic of Web3? And what unique and novel mechanisms and features can Web3 unlock for a game? Because it's not just about making a fun game and allowing people to trade their NFTs. There are new mechanisms, there are new features, there's new design space. Just like Supercell, right, the creator of Clash of Clans, they created a game that used the new technology of the iPhone, the touch screen, right? New industries, new spaces, new paradigms have a new set of winners that create new types of benefits for people leveraging the technology. I know a lot of people know about Axie, but sometimes I think people can get a little bit lost around how does it actually work? What is actually interesting about it? So Axie, we see it as a new type of game enabled by the EVM, the Ethereum virtual machine, that rewards players for the time and effort that they spend in their ecosystem. Axie also has a 100% player-owned real money economy. One way to think of it is that actually traditional game economies can be seen as systems with an effective tax rate of 100%. All the money is going to the developers. Whereas in Axie Infinity, we see this as a player-owned economy with a tax rate of 4.25% that is owned by the protocol, which is owned by the users. Sky Mavis is just part of the community here, and we have aligned incentives through ownership of the Axis governance token. And Axie has grown to become so much more recently than a simple card battler. We have games like Axie Infinity Raylights, Homeland, these are land-based games. We have Doll, which is actually a game built by community members, right? So there's this idea of kind of like modding or alternate experiences built by the community on top of the IP. And we even have something called Project T now. It's more of a social game related to feeding your Axies, taking care of them as pets. Kind of more of like a Tamagotchi type social experience. But today, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that we're calling Axie Core. What is Axie Core? Axie Core is the ability to put your time, your effort, your love into your Axies and to evolve them over time. Because right now, right, we're seeing what's happening in the NFT space with PFPs, right? People can look at your PFP and they can know maybe what community you're a part of, and they can tell how rich you are. But in the future, when people look at your NFTs, they're gonna wanna know more about you. NFTs are becoming keys to our digital identity, and dynamic NFTs allow for NFTs that can be altered or changed with proof of effort, proof of skill, right? So when you look at someone's PFP in the future, you'll learn, oh, this person is really good at this game. This person has accomplished this. We really see that as the direction for NFTs moving forward. For a long time, there was this meta where NFT projects were airdropping and just creating more supply, right? And they were rewarding existing holders with airdrops. But eventually, the market gets saturated. People refuse to buy the new airdrop collections, right? So the next stage, we strongly believe, is going to be about vertical progression of your individual NFTs, progressing one NFT further and creating more of a deep personal connection rather than having more and more and more, right? So deeper versus wider types of experiences. So this is a system of on-chain progression that we've released with Axie. And it's been something that's been a long time in the making, right? So we've just released this system called AXP, or Axie Experience Points. And this is an on-chain leveling system that we think will be seen in many NFT projects, many gaming projects moving forward. So basically how it works is that you earn Axie Experience Points by playing different games within the Axie universe, by playing games like Axie Infinity Origins, in the future, games like Homeland and Project T, even games built by the community. And then once you have a certain number of these off-chain experience points, you're then eligible to send a transaction that syncs that experience point on-chain and dynamically upgrades or evolves the NFT to the next level. So once you hit level 10, once you have 13,000 AXP, you can sync on-chain to level 10. Likewise, at 110,000 AXP for level 20, 334,000 AXP for level 30. And what does this on-chain level do? Well, there's a lot of potential. But one thing that we're going to use it for is to deliver on our vision for part upgrades, right? So remember, recently people in the NFT space, they keep creating new NFTs. But we think that the next meta is actually about upgrading existing assets. And you see some projects maybe kind of trying to do that, but then they realize that you actually need a fun experience to get people to go through the process of upgrading that art, of upgrading that NFT. So here you can see a level 1 Axie, and then here we have a level 2 Axie, right? So this aesthetic upgrade can mirror the on-chain upgrade. And people are starting to take notice. So our friends at Bankless, William Peaster, he writes the Metaversal. I think he said it better than I could say it, so I'll just read it out here. Axie Infinity remains the biggest Web3 game, and many other gaming efforts will study what it's doing with AXP. In time, this sort of on-chain leveling will likely become a mainstay, not just in Web3 gaming, but also across other sectors of the space. From curation to PFPs to Web3 social, it will seem obvious in retrospect, in my opinion, but just like the Uniswap-style DEXs seem obvious to us now, that wasn't always so. And I think this is really a key point because I've been here, I see 2023 as maybe similar to 2019 in terms of the market climate, in terms of the builder enthusiasm. And 2019 was actually one of the greatest years of all time for the Ethereum ecosystem. That's when we really saw, I believe Uniswap was deployed in December or November of 2018, but it was really in the Q1, Q2 of 2019 that Uniswap started to turn necks and get some attention. So if we're here, if we're waiting for what's going to be the thing that gets people interested in this space again, it's going to have to be, we can't just rely on BlackRock approving an ETF. Like, come on, that's so boring. The next cycle will be created when there are new on-chain mechanisms that have never been done before, that unlock the technology, that inspire people with new functionalities. And dynamic NFTs, on-chain leveling, how that interacts with art for NFTs through gaming, we think that that is a huge narrative and mechanism for the next cycle. And you can see here, right? This is a level 1 Axie, and then this is a level 2 Axie, right? So this brings back childhood memories of the first time that I played Pokemon Blue in 1998. I grinded as a kid. I was grinding as a child because I really wanted to upgrade my Charmander to a Charmeleon. It's that type of experience and emotion that we need to bring to NFTs. But for flexing collectibles, right, and this kind of proof of experience and proof of level, we also may even need to rethink what types of games are a great fit for the Axie universe and the Axie IP. So right now, a lot of the Axie games that people know about and the main Axie experience is like a very competitive game, right? You're playing cards, you're battling. The Axies have been, battling each other for 5 years now. But when we think about real life, right, where do people love to express themselves the most? People love to express themselves when they're out, when they're going to different social events, when they're out at a party, when they're going out to dinner. So one of the things that we think about for dynamic NFTs with Axie and flexing these cosmetic upgrades is what are the types of experiences that are actually naturally conducive to that type of behavior? And it might not be only very competitive games, right? When you're playing football, we're wearing our jersey, right? We're wearing something that actually shows us as part of a group. It's only actually when we go out and socialize do we wear clothes and have cosmetic things related to us that focus on our individuality. So this is Project T. This is actually an Axie mini game that we just launched. It's very experimental, but it's really designed for that collectability experience and flexing these cosmetics. So part of our thesis is that people will be hanging out in these town squares, right? So this is Project T, right? You see people have their own like humanoid avatars called the Sapidae, which is a new species that we've introduced. But then they also have their Axies. And actually the amazing thing is you can go into Project T and you'll know, without even looking at someone's name, you'll know who they are because their identity has been so attached to their Axies for so long. So this type of experience, right, with even chat, right, it's kind of more similar to like what we remember from RuneScape, Habbo Hotel, hanging out in Orgrimmar and WoW. And when people see, this is like the new meta, right? Rather than seeing someone flex their PFP on Twitter and then buying that PFP, the future will be about flexing in-game, right? So this is a unique, interesting behavior. I'll read it out. So this person posted a screenshot with all these kind of Christmas Axies, right? And then you see someone almost immediately next saying, "You guys made me do this," and he bought the Frosty Axie. I think this is going to be a very, very important theme, which was that flexing PFPs on Twitter was really V1 of this ability to differentiate yourself in Web3. And flexing collectibles in game, we see that as the next step, the next evolution. This is actually me. So this is one of my favorite Axies. I really, really think that dynamic NFTs are going to be key to the next step, to all the builders in the room who are interested in, hey, what can I do in NFTs that might be interesting? I would strongly suggest looking at programmatic NFTs, dynamic NFTs, NFTs that can involve with more time and more effort. And I think there's so much design space to be explored. And I believe that as Axie introduces this concept more to the space, there are going to be a lot more ideas, and we're not going to be able to try them all, right? We're going to need to build together. We're going to need to experiment together. And that's the message that I want to get out to some of the fellow builders in the room. These are my contact information, so please take a screenshot of this if you want to reach out to me. Anyone here, you're really super welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions, if you want to get into contact. Some people, one thing that they ask me a lot is how should I try Axie, right? I heard about it in the past. My cousin is playing. I really want to try it out, but I'm not really sure what to do. Do I need to buy a wallet? Do I need to buy Ether? Do I need to buy something on Ronin Network first? The answer is you should actually try Axie first before you decide or make any economic decisions. So you can actually download and play Axie without having to buy any Axies. You'll get 3 free Axies that are not NFTs that you can use to fall in love with the IP, fall in love with the game, test it out yourself before going deeper down the rabbit hole. So you can also take a picture of this. And finally, I want to invite everybody to this meetup that we're hosting tonight. It's going to be my first meetup with the Argentinian Lunasian community, the Axie community in Buenos Aires. So yeah, please take a screenshot of this if you'd like to attend. And yeah, I will, nos vemos esta noche. All right. So thank you so much. Gracias totales.